between the two of them. Oh, there's contact. There's contact. And there's contact between Cheryl Powell and Campbell Pilling. So the first of our qualifying sessions already on circuit and already well into their timed qualifying session. Each of our drivers will undertake an 8-minute plus 1 lap session. And that will give them, well, give them not only championship points, but it'll also give them a starting position on the grid for the first heats. So the first heats for the DRS100s who are on circuit now will be just around about 25 past 12 this afternoon. I'll talk you through the full schedule for round 2 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Whilton Mill a little bit later on. But at the moment we're watching Kai Newman, who is the fastest of the Group A drivers for DRS100. Remember, those of you who watched the first round at Clay Pigeon will know that we've got such a well-subscribed group of DRS100 drivers that we split them into 2 categories. We split them into an A and a B group, and they all come together. They don't actually come together until the main grand final later on this afternoon. So they are in their group for qualifying, they're in their group for the heat and the pre-final, before we get them all together for the main final. And of this Group A, we have the likes of Tristan Powell, who's just gone fastest, the 154, Kai Newman, Ethan Critchley, drivers who performed particularly well as well at Clay Pigeon, likes of Oscar Walmsley-Jones and Liam Karbalov, Aaron Mensah, Archie Potter, James Kochalek as well. At the moment, 47.261 is the fastest lap of the session so far. We've still got around about 5 minutes of this session to go. And Tristan Powell is who is fastest. The drivers who've been out since the start of the session, remember the drivers don't actually have to go out immediately. They could wait a little bit, put a little bit less load into the tyres. But at the moment, it's Tristan Powell with a 47.261, only 900ths of a second faster than Kai Newman. Ethan Critchley is 3rd fastest, and Eldon Holland has just moved up into 7th place. That's an improvement of 3 places for him. And James Kochalek as well has moved up 6 places into 9th. Aaron Mensah, 5th fastest at the moment. He's just gone through with a 47.416. So Powell, Newman, Walmsley-Jones and Ethan Critchley and Aaron Mensah, they're the top 5 at the moment. Liam Karbalov 6th fastest, Daniel Weir 7th fastest, and Eldon Holland has just gone through to complete another lap but doesn't improve just yet. James Kochalek 9th fastest, and George Jennings. And the interesting thing with the split groups for DRS100 is we can start to compare some lap times as well, so we would have an indication of where the drivers are in relation to each other. And Weir goes 2nd fastest now. So Daniel Weir 2nd fastest, up 5 places, the number 9. 47.030. The only driver to duck below the 47-second barrier is Tristan Powell. 46.909 last time. So they are going quicker with every lap. It's a little bit overcast here. We've got some blue skies above, but some quite heavy cloud as well. I don't think there's any expectation of rain here today. And they are going slightly quicker as the tyres come to temperature. They get a little bit more used to the current conditions of this racetrack. And sometimes it helps when they're on the chase as well. I'm just looking at Daniel Weir now as he just goes past our commentary position here at start-finish. He's just trying to chase down the 150 of James Kochalek, just trying to get a tour, trying to get a drag around this Whilton Mill circuit. So the other thing to be aware of, we spoke about it in the track walk this morning is the track limits here at Whilton Mill. There's a couple of really key areas of this circuit where track limits really come into play. A couple of run-offs, and we'll see some of those as we follow a few of the drivers around this qualifying session, which has just got around about 2 minutes left to go. There's one of the track limit areas we just spoke about at the bottom of the circuit, which is the way into the Ashby corner. Christmas corner as well is one of those that you can just have a little bit of a run out onto the white line and over the white line. If you do go over the white line, you do run the risk of a penalty. I fully expect us to see some drivers warned about track limits as we go throughout the day today. Start finish there, the drivers, there's one, the 154, just very close, Tristan Powell, to track limits there as he came over start finish line. He's gone faster again as Tristan Powell, 46.674 last time round. Oscar Walmsley Jones now second fastest, 46.8 for him, 2/10 behind Tristan Powell. Daniel Weir demoted down to third, Ethan Critchley is fourth, and Kai Newman, Liam Karbeloff, James Kochelek, Aaron Mensah and Archie Potter take you up to ninth, where Ruby Smith has just demoted Joe Jennings down to 11th and taken 10th place away. So then we're down to 40 seconds or so. So for a lot of these drivers, this will be the final lap for them, the final opportunity. Let's see who's gone quick in the first couple of sectors, who's improved. So we're just getting towards the who's going to cross the line, who's going to get themselves another lap here. So the drivers all crossing the start-finish line now have another lap. There's Daniel Weir, currently third fastest, as Aaron Mensah goes up into sixth place with a 47.179 for him. Only actually two drivers who are under the 47-second barrier. That's Tristan Powell and Oscar Walmsley-Jones. Kochelek up to fifth. Now then, we are on the final lap for these drivers. So Potter goes no faster in ninth. Ben Thornley is up into 14th. Daniel Weir has crossed the line. No better from him. No better from Ethan Critchley either. But Kochelek has taken 2 places and moves up into 5th. Aaron Mensah up 1 place to 7th. Newman is between them in 6th. We're still waiting for Walmsley-Jones. We're still waiting for Tristan Powell, who just crosses the line now. Doesn't go any faster though. So Oscar Walmsley-Jones is the only one who's going to be able to make a dent here. Here he comes. Does he go faster? No. He does his personal best at 46.823. But that's not fast enough to take away the fastest lap of the session for Tristan Powell, a 46.674. Now keep an eye on that lap time, remember that one, because we'll be able to compare that to the drivers in Group B. So 46.674 is the benchmark time. So Powell, Walmsley-Jones, Weir, Critchley, Kochelek, Newman, Mensah, Karbeloff, Potter and Ruby Smith are the top 10. Then Joe Jennings was 11th fastest. Archie Cole and Eldon Hollam, who showed quite good pace early on, but Eldon is down in 13th. Ben Thorley 14th, Isaac Kite in 15th, and Joe Wood, who only completed 3 laps of the qualifying session, came home in 16th place. So that's the first of the groups. Just in terms of our schedule as well, the second qualifying session for the DRS100. So Group B expected off just around about 25 past the hour, as we see the number 64 just go out onto circuit. I think that's just to get some warm-up laps in. I think that's just because they probably didn't do the laps in the warm-up this morning. So every driver has to complete a designated amount of warm-up laps on a race day morning. We see the Parc Fermé entry for the DRS100 Group A's. They'll all go in, they'll all be weighed, they'll all make sure that they meet the regulatory requirements of scrutineering, which is where they are now, and then they'll start that debrief, they'll start that check on how that session has gone to them. They'll also have a really good eye on the DRS100 Group B's, who are all sat on the dummy grid at the moment, just waiting to be given the nod for their qualifying session. And that qualifying session will be just in around about 6 or 7 minutes time. We'll be back in a few moments with a DRS100's Group B time qualifying session. So our second of the two DRS100 classes just about to get underway with their qualifying session. Just a reminder that you can join us, if you're not already, you can join us on both Facebook on the live stream with Daniel Ricciardo Series Facebook page, or on the Daniel Ricciardo Series channel on YouTube, where we'll be streaming all of the live action here today from round 2 of the DRS series at Whilton Mill. You can get involved in there as well with support for your favourite drivers. As we said, next out on circuit is the DRS 100s Group B. We've got some very handy drivers in Group B, it has to be said. We've got the likes of Freddie Cox, the DRS plate. We've got Maximilian Salarski, who was the standout performer at Clay Pigeon just 3 weeks ago. Henry Foote, Sherian Powell, Bryn Calder, Charlie Bradford. It's a high. Daniela Sutton, I could go through them all. Jamie Scott. We've got a real high bar in this Group B. Two groups which are randomly generated before the drivers arrive here at Whilton Mill. And the countdown clock has started. Now this is the interesting point. So there you go, you've got 3 or 4 drivers that are just thinking, right, I'll just sort of stay here. I don't need to make a move just yet. One of them is Maximilian Salarski. So we'll get an indication of who the early pace setters are here. But bear in mind, we've got a couple that have just decided that it's not for them just now. And they've got the full 10 minutes to decide. The only thing they can't do, these drivers, is they can't decide to they can't decide to come out of the pits and then return to the pits and come out again. They're not allowed to do that. So once you're out there, you are out there, and you are doing your laps to get the best possible time, to get yourself the best possible grid position. And of course, championship points to go with it as well. So first drivers have just broken the timing beam in the last few seconds. Sam Halley-Hinksman has done the fastest lap so far. Don't read anything into that. It's basically an out lap, just a lap to familiarise themselves with the circuit, to warm up the tyres, the brakes, all the component parts that are going to work for them on these DRS karts. Remember, all the karts, all the engines, all the tyres are standardised. Ensures that the focus is very much on driver ability. And once they've completed 3 or 4 laps of this Whilton Mill circuit, we'll start to get an understanding and indication of the drivers that will be battling it out at the top end of this session. We've had a couple of minutes so far. I'm just looking back down the pit lane from our position here, which is bang on the start-finish line at Whilton Mill. And I can see that Maximilian Salarski has still not decided it's just his time just yet. What he will have is he will have at least 3 or 4 laps worth of fresher tyres come the end of the day. We've got a technical problem for driver number 6 as well. So a technical problem for Sherian Powell. Now what's happened here? Let me see if I can have a little look. I can see her just coming round. She's just coming round the left-hander now. So the it's a rear bumper failure, Sam informs me. I'll see her. She just comes through Chapman's and across the back straight. Rear bumper. She hasn't come in. Oh, she might not have seen the flag yet, so she's just going to come round now. There she is. Rear bumper, Sam, are we sure? Unless something's come off it. She's just come past us. The rear bumper looks like it's intact. Yeah. Oh, she's stopped now. Now she's having a little look over her shoulder herself. So maybe she knows what it is. So she's just going through just gone through Christmas corner. You've just seen her on screen there, going through Christmas corner. So she's completely backed off at the moment. I need to have a better look now. I can see it now. So as she sits in the car, it's right off now. So yes, that is a rear bumper failure. So because that's a technical, I'm looking over at Sam now over here. Because that's a technical, can they fix that and send her back out? No. So her session is finished. So Sherry-Ann Powell then. So what she managed to get on the board? She's managed to put on a 47.1. It's a competitive time. It's not going to trouble the fastest lap here, but it's fairly competitive, and it will probably put her certainly in the top 8, I'd have thought, 8 or 10. But she would have gone faster, and that is unfortunate. I wonder if it was a component failure, or I wonder if they just loosened it off a little bit. They loosen the component parts on these karts sometimes to just try and give them a little bit more grip. If you think if you stiffen everything up, it makes the chassis and the kart in general a lot stiffer, which makes it effectively reduces some of the grip it gets. If you make everything a little bit softer and a little bit, you unscrew a few things, it means the kart has more flex, which gives you more bite, which means you have more grip. So I wonder if they tried to soften that car and softened it a little bit too much, and it led to a rear bumper failure, because you don't really see an awful lot of those if everything's screwed in as it should be. So just looking now towards the drivers who've made the early inroads here. I'm looking down towards Bryn Calder, who's just coming along the back straight. Second fastest for Bryn Calder at the moment. Fastest driver out there is Charlie Ratford. So the number 8, who was very, very quick in the wet conditions at Clay Pigeon in round 1. Certainly in the qualifying session. Freddie Cox goes third fastest. DRS plate of Freddie Cox, 46.4. Now the interesting point here is we are just over halfway through this session, and the drivers in Group B are already 0.3 of a second. Now that is a big gap, 0.3 of a second quicker than the fastest driver in Group A. So Tristan Powell, 46.674. Compare that to Charlie Ratford, 46.304. So at least 0.3 of a second faster is Charlie Ratford than Tristan Powell was, who was fastest in Group A. So Ratford, Calder, Cox, they're the top 3. Henry Foote is 4th fastest. He's also just about into the 46s, 46.4 for him. Then there's a half a second gap back to Sam Halley-Hinksman and Max Salarski. So keep an eye on Maximilian Salarski. He's only done 2 laps so far. His next lap is probably going to give us a really good indication of how quick he is. You're seeing the run up towards Christmas Corner. It's probably the iconic corner of this Whilton Mill circuit. They climb and climb and climb, turn right and then drop down through a little section of S's. They head down to the Ashby corner, which is very downhill, very off camber. It's one of those places where track limits becomes a factor for these young drivers. So Ratford it is who is fastest, then Calder. Let's see what Salarski does next time round. Is he going any faster? No, he's at 46.8, so he's done his personal best, but it's not. It's still 6/10 slower than Charlie Ratford is at the moment, and Ratford's gone faster again, 46.287. Now is going out late in this session. Is that going to impede Maximilian Salarski here? Because you get the feeling that the other drivers are in a bit of a routine here, a bit of a rhythm, and they've gone faster on laps 8 and 9. Well, Maximilian Salarski isn't going to get to lap 8 and 9 here. He's only got 2 minutes of the session left. Have they got that tactically wrong here? Did he need the extra time just to get... Is that just the way the circuit's behaving at the moment, where the fastest lap times are coming towards the end of the session, and he's done 5 laps less? Well, you would think they are, because Ratford's gone faster again, 46.230 for Charlie Ratford, the number 8. He's got himself a clear 10th of a second between himself and Bryn Calder. Now, what has Salarski done this time? We're just looking at him coming over start-finish now. Here he goes. He goes faster, but not fastest. He's gone up to 5th, and Casti Southall is also up 4 places, the 162 into 7th place, the top rookie at the moment. So Salarski 46.6. So Ratford, Calder, Cox, no change there. Henry Foote, Maximilian Salarski, then Sam Halley-Hinksman, then Casti Southall. Ben Hoy, Sherry-Ann Powell. So Sherry-Ann Powell's dropped to 10th now. Maximilian Reid has just gone above Sherry-Ann into 9th. Daniela Sutton is 11th fastest, about a second or so slower than the pace setter. And Jamie Scott, we wouldn't expect to see Jamie Scott down in 13th, but that's where he is at the moment, with Rowan Marsden, Tuscany Groves and Jake Rudrow the remaining runners. And Ratford goes faster again, so he's ticking off fastest laps here pretty much every single time. He's now extended the advantage between himself and Bryn Calder to about a tenth and a half. As Reid is up to 9th. How long have we got left now? We're into the last minute as the drivers stream through. Anybody gone faster this time? Henry Foote has gone faster. 46.4 for Henry Foote, goes above Freddie Cox, so moves up into 3rd. 46.4 as well for Salarski, his fastest of the session so far. They've got to find 3/10, haven't they? They've got to find 3/10 of Foote, Cox and Salarski if they want to get on terms with Charlie Ratford, who's been the fastest of the day so far for the DRS100s. Just looking at the 153 of Jamie Scott go through to complete another lap. 47.6 for him. He's over a second off the pace at the moment, is Jamie Scott. So Foote into 3rd, Cox to 4th, Salarski to 5th. What do we see now? So this is the last lap. So this will be the best we've got. Henry Foote's gone through, no faster. Ben Hoy in 8th, no faster from him either. Anybody got a little bit of a final sting in the tail at this session? Maximilian Reid 9th fastest, he's completed his session. Halley-Hinksman is 6th fastest. Bryn Calder goes through, doesn't go any faster. In fact, he's dropped right off the pace. 46.6. So where is Salarski? As we look at the 143 of Daniela Sutton, 11th fastest now. Here come the remainder then. Here is Salarski. Didn't go faster. I think they got that wrong for Maximilian Salarski. The times came at the end of the session. He'd only done 8 laps. You look at the fastest lap for Ratford was done on lap 10. In fact, it was lap 11. So if that's the way that the circuit is behaving, and you look down at the timesheet, fastest lap on lap 11 for Ratford, fastest lap on lap 11 for Henry Foote, fastest lap on lap 10 for Casti Southall, fastest lap on lap 10 for Maximilian Reid. The circuit was coming back towards the drivers. They just didn't give Maximilian Salarski enough time to get out there. I mean, he will have slightly fresher tyres come the end of the day, but they just didn't give him the running to get him up and on terms with Charlie Ratford or Bryn Calder or Henry Foote. They were the top 3. Freddie Cox was 4th. Maximilian Salarski finished 5th fastest. Then Halley-Hinksman, Southall, Hoy, Reid and Sherry-Ann Powell, who only completed 4 laps before a rear bumper failure. Now, interestingly, the top 5 here, all faster than the fastest driver in the DRS A group. So if Tristan Powell had been in that session, he would have been 6th fastest. So it gives you an indication that we're probably going to see more pace from Group B, certainly until the grand final when they all come together later on this afternoon. So Group A of the DRS100s, if you're just joining us on the live stream on Facebook or YouTube via the Daniel Ricciardo Series pages, you might not know that the DRS100 drivers are split into 2 groups, randomly generated, and they'll only actually come together in the main final. The grand final this afternoon will be the first time that the drivers from the 2 groups see each other. Their grid position on for that final will be dictated by their performance throughout the day, in their qualifying session, in their first heat and in that pre-final. And here they come then for that first heat. So we're going to see 2 heats for the DRS100s. Every driver will participate in one of those 2 heats. And Group A, so they are the ones that are on circuit at the moment. Tristan Powell was the fastest of the Group A drivers earlier on this morning with a 46.674 second lap time. Incidentally, if both groups were together, that would only have been good enough for 7th. So we are expecting Group B potentially to give us a little bit more in terms of the top end of the grand final than Group A, but it remains to be seen. So this is the formation lap, so they'll go around a couple of times, make sure everything's up to temperature, make sure they're happy with how the drivers are formed, and then the lights will change from red to green and we'll be underway with our first competitive wheel-to-wheel racing action of the weekend, the first heat for the DRS100 A group. So they head now down through the left-hander at Chapman's, and then along this short back straight into the final stage of this Whilton Mill lap, which takes them into the boot. They go left then right, and then a little run down to Paddock Corner. It reminds me of the Paddock Corner at Lark Hall, this one. Very similar, quite fast.
Oh, sorry, I thought
opens up on the exit, adjacent to the dummy grid. Right then, under the orders of the starter, the lights are red. Will we go racing at the first time of asking? We will. Oh, it's not a nice start though. Ooh, is that gonna go? It was very, very disjointed. Tristan Powell had acres of space to pick his line into the first corner. It's almost like the drivers around him just didn't get the jump, just didn't see the lights change, and all of a sudden, from being very, very grouped up, we were very spaced out. But the start is cleared, and we are underway here, 8 minutes plus a lap in the second round of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Whilton Mill. This is the first heat of the day for the first group of DRS100 drivers. Second place is Daniel Weir. So Powell got the best of the starts then. He's just about to come round and complete his first lap. He's got maybe 3 or 4 kart lengths advantage over Daniel Weir, the number 9, as they cross the timing beam for the first time. And head up towards Christmas Corner. The gap we're interested in is the one between Powell and Weir, first and second. And they are queuing up behind Daniel Weir at the moment. Let's see a replay here of them going, because you see how much the karts bump and bounce and the abrasive surface. So that's Walmsley Jones just having a little look down the inside of Weir, who eyeballed him and gave nothing away. Now, while that's all been happening, James Kochelec's just cruised onto the back of these two. Over start finish they go then. Powell, Weir, then Oscar Jones. We've got a spill, we've got a kart that's lost a wheel. We've got a wheel over start finish. We've got a kart which is without one. It's the 117 of Eldon Holland. So Eldon Holland has retired. He's absolutely fine. He's been taken to safety. Here is is this a replay of the incident? So where's the wheel gone? We need to find the wheel. It's on the way down to, it certainly looked like it was on the way down to Crook Corner, which is turn 1 here. It was his front right. So quite a major mechanical failure. There is the car, missing a front left wheel. It is. So the yellow flag over start finish line, that means that the drivers can't overtake as they go through start finish. We've got more contact with a few drivers over start finish as well. And there it is. So here is the battle for second place with Weir, Kocelek and Newman. Where's Oscar Walmsley Jones gone? Dropped back down into 7th as they battle over start finish, and Weir's lost that place. In fact, he's lost more than that place. He's dropped right to the back of this little group of drivers for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Now here's the... Oh, he made a mistake. He made a mistake. So, no contact. Daniel Weir literally just made a mistake under the pressure as they went through Chapman's that last time round. He caught the rumble strip. He just made a mistake, did Daniel Weir. So now then, second place is now with Kai Newman, who was the benefactor. Who got under investigation is Daniel Weir. So race leader, no change for Tristan Powell. In fact, Tristan Powell's been the benefactor of all this going on behind him. He's just been able to cruise around at the front, pick his line, stay nice and cool, calm and collected. And he finds himself with a very healthy advantage indeed over the number 155 of Kai Newman, who is now up and into second place. The rest of them stream through. So Newman, followed by Kotschalek in second place, in third place rather, 155 and 150. They dropped down, they're both way over track limits, by the way, as they came down and through the right-hander at Ashby. And now they head out and up towards the boot once more. This is the left-hander, and then they'll try and keep it to the left and go right. And then they swing down the start-finish straight to complete another lap. Not quite got enough pressure on Kotschalek, has he, on Newman at the moment. Liam Karbeloff up to fourth, and Ethan Critchley is fifth, and Daniel Weir is recovered now into sixth. Oscar Walmsley-Jones all the way back into 12th, so some sort of problem, I would imagine, for Oscar Walmsley-Jones, who was right up there at the start of this race. Suddenly finds himself right in the mid-pack in 12th place. It's behind Joe Jennings, the 125. So Powell, Newman, Kotschalek, top three. Karbeloff is fourth. Critchley and Weir fifth and sixth. Archie Cole seventh. Is this a move for second? It is a move for second, as down the inside at the boot went James Kotschalek on Kai Newman. Did he manage to make it stick? We'll get them now as they come back through to complete another lap. Here is that battle for second, third and fourth, and it's Newman now who has second place. Kotschalek, Karbeloff and Critchley and Weir as well, who isn't a million miles from the back of this group, in sixth place. An investigation for 114 of Archie Potter for something untoward, you would imagine, on the previous lap. Down towards Ashby they go once more. What have we got left in terms of time? 2 minutes for these drivers, plus that one final lap, as Newman continues to hold off James Kotschalek for second place. There's no doubting the race leader. Tristan Powell is now 3.5 seconds ahead of everybody else and just needs to keep it all pointing in the right direction for the remaining 1 minute and 40 seconds plus that one final lap. Look at how wide Kotschalek is on track limits as they went over start finish. Not sure how many times he'll get away with that. Here they come up towards Christmas Corner once more, the very top of this Whilton Mill circuit. You can see them start to drop down now through the S's, down through Ashby into the Chapman's left-hander, which is the next corner. They're all off track limits again as they go through Ashby, through the left and then into Chapman's. And then this group will arrive at the boot after they go down the back straight, which is where they are now. So Archie Potter under investigation as well. So Newman and Kotschalek second and third. Fourth place is Liam Karbeloff. Just keep an eye on these two, just ready to pick up any scraps or any pieces that they leave behind. Is the only one that can keep the track limits at the moment, Liam Karbeloff, to be honest. The two in front of him are consistently over the white line. Watch them as they come down to Ashby now. Newman and Kotschalek. Watch the exit here. Way over track limits. Way over track limits. Now into the left-hander of Chapman's. Karbeloff just in behind Kotschalek. In fact, he's taken a couple of tenths, hasn't he? He's got himself probably within striking distance as they go down to the boot. Can he take third place away from James Kotschalek? And then they swing through the paddock corner once more. There are second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Where's Daniel Weir now? Still back in sixth place. In terms of fastest lap, Tristan Powell, away from all the carnage and chaos behind him, has just very nicely ticked off the fastest lap of the race so far as well on his last lap, 46.958. Here come the battle for second, third and fourth once more. Newman, Kochlek, Karbeloff, then Critchley in behind. If these did start to battle in the remaining lap or so, then it would allow for the likes of Critchley and Weir maybe to join in, but at the moment they're a little bit adrift. The 5th and 6th drivers were on the last lap as they go through the right-hander of turn 2 and up towards Christmas. I don't think that Kochlek is close enough. He'll have a look down into Ashby, will he? He'll need a good run off the S's. Don't think he's close enough this time. He's not. As they run over the rumble strip and out towards the left-hander at Chapman's. Last corner will probably be the last opportunity here. Oh, sorry, the boot rather, because the last corner is so fast. You're not really going to see any overtaking opportunities. He is close enough though, isn't he? Will he have a look at the left? No. Covers it off nicely, does Kai Newman. And now he should just be home and hose through the last corner. We will not see a lot of last corner overtaking manoeuvres here. The final corner is so fast. Drivers are basically line of stern through it. I think the last opportunity, I think the last lap here, you've got to be looking up towards Christmas. You've got to be looking at Ashby at best for an overtaking manoeuvre. I'm sure there's that many overtaking chances once you're down at the bottom part of the circuit through the boot. So drivers trying to plan their way through those final parts of the lap. And start to go a little bit further afield. And certainly not leave it until they are into the final couple of corners. It's probably very unlikely it'll get done at that point. So Tristan Powell converts his fastest lap in the qualifying session to a fastest lap and a race win in heat number 1 of the DRS100s. The next on circuit is the other group, so the DRS100 Group B, our second group of DRS100 drivers. Group B, Charlie Ratford was fastest in the qualifying session for Group B earlier on this morning. Very good pace at Clay Pigeon as well, didn't he, in the wet qualifying session there. There is Freddie Cox and the 140 of Sam Halley-Hinksman. So Group B certainly got, so it's got more seeded drivers in it, that's for sure. There's only actually Daniel Weir of the seeded drivers from last year's championship in Group A. But Group B, we've got Freddie Cox, Maximilian Salarski, Henry Foote, Sherian Powell, Ben Calder, Charlie Ratford. So based on that alone, we would expect Group B to give us some very, very interesting results this afternoon. It's our second heat of the day. It's the first heat for the Group B DRS100 drivers. Plus a lap, as with all of the heats here and the pre-final as well. The pre-finals are all 8 minutes plus a lap. We also have a B-final this afternoon, the B-final for the drivers who don't quite make it into the main grand final in the DRS 100 class. So the drivers on their formation laps, just trying to suss each other out a little bit. There's a lot of gamesmanship goes on at the start of these races, a lot of trying to get the upper hand into that first corner. This is very quick. So it was very quick. They just started to slow down as they came on the back straight, but they were very, very fast around the early stages of the formation lap. They have all caught up though, and they are fairly well formed now. This could go first time here. So Charlie Ratford on the inside of the front row. They're going to be slowed down by Andy Cox. Looks to the lines. Ratford, I don't think he's got the jump though. I think it's has Ratford got the jump over the number 7 of Bryn Calder. They were the front two as they went into the first corner. And I think it is Charlie Ratford who heads up to Christmas in the lead. Calder then tucks in behind. The rest of the field have all streamed through. They've all managed to get through as they head down to Ashby for the first time of asking. Charlie Ratford then it is who leads. We'll get them back into our view in just a moment and get you the order as they complete that first. It looks like Henry Foot has moved up into second place. I think the white helmet, the green overalls, he has, but he's had a terrible run out of the left-hander Chapman's, and all of a sudden he had Bryn Calder all over the back of him as they went through. Actually held them all up as they went down that back straight. Over the line they go then for the first time in this DRS100 Group B Heat 1. Through the S's and then down to Ashby they go. This is the battle for second, third, fourth and fifth. And Henry Foot has lost that place, as you're seeing here at Christmas Corner. He's not just lost it to Bryn Calder, but he's lost it to Maximilian Salarski as well, who dives down the inside. And here comes Calder on Salarski. Is there a little bit of contact between the two? There is. Calder has to take to the grass, and that allows for not only Maximilian Salarski to retain that second place, but it allows for Henry Foot to move up, and it means that the DRS of Freddie Cox is now putting Bryn Calder under all kinds of pressure as they go through the first corner. A little bit of contact there. Officials may need to have a little look at that as they stream down towards the right-hander at Ashby once more, and they jump over the curbs, head into the left at Chapman's. We've got somebody out there with a broken exhaust by the sounds of it. You can hear a high-pitched grunt of one of these engines. So no change at the front. While all this has been going on, Charlie Ratford has just cruised away. He's just allowed them all to scrap in behind him. And he's the one that is currently leading the way with a healthy advantage as well. This is the battle then between these four drivers: Salarski, Foot, Calder and Cox. They are the second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth drivers. So we've got a mechanical flag for 140. So I'm assuming that Sam Hill-Hinksman is the driver with the broken exhaust. Where is he in the... Oh, there he is. He's coming in now. In fact, he was only just in sixth place as well. So Sam Hill-Hinksman with a technical problem heads into Parc Fermé, relinquishes and releases Sherry-Ann Powell into... Oh, there's somebody else out there with an exhaust, isn't there? They've just come past us now, and you could certainly hear another driver with a really loud exhaust. We'll just try and pick them up again as they come past us in commentary here next time round, or the start-finish. We'll just see if we can hear who that is, because there's certainly a driver out there with an exhaust problem. You can hear the different pitch from the engine. It's not Charlie Ratford, but I think it could be part of that group for second, third, fourth and fifth. Let's try and have a listen this time as they come past us now. So it's either, so I've narrowed it down to two. It could be Casti Southall. And Casti Southall, you see Henry Foot just move up ahead of Salarski into second place. It is Casti Southall. Yeah, it certainly sounded like Cassidy as they came past last time round, the 162. So it sounds like some sort of broken exhaust on that Daniel Ricciardo kart. And Casti Southall will have to enter the pits next time round, and that will be race done. So Radford leads, no change. Then we've got, ignore the graphic on your screen, that's from the last race. There's no live time in here to show you either. As the rest of them stream through. So Radford then, Henry Foote is in second, Salarski third. Fourth place is Bryn Calder, then it's Cox. So that's the battle out here, second, third, fourth and fifth. Behind them is Sherry-Ann Powell. Now this is already a decent recovery drive from Sherry-Ann Powell, who has now managed to just jump up into sixth place. Daniela Sutton as well, what a good drive from Danielle Sutton. Up into seventh. As Foote takes to the outside, he's going to lose that place. In fact, he could lose two places, doesn't he? He slams the door firmly in Bryn Calder's face, and now Calder will come under pressure from Freddie Cox as they head down into turn one, through two, and up the long back straight into Christmas corner. Is there going to be a move from Foote on Salarski here? No. And likewise, there's no move from Freddie Cox as they go through and down into Ashby. This now onto the bottom part of the circuit. They swing to the right hand side of the circuit to go left into Chapman's. At the moment, Charlie Radford's got a really lonely job out front here. He's also the fastest man on the circuit at 46.638 on lap number 5. He's completed 7 laps. He's got around about a minute and 40 seconds to go. Salarski, Foote, Calder and Cox. And Sherry-Ann Powell, Daniela Sutton, Maximilian Reed, Ben Hoy is now up into 9th, and Jamie Scott has moved up into 10th place. So Sam Halley-Hinksman and Casti Southall, the 2 retirements, both with mechanical problems. Just looking at the gap between Sherry-Ann Powell and Daniela Sutton, it's only 0.3 of a second, so those two could get into a real all-female battle for 6th and 7th. In the closing stages here, we've got just over a minute to go, plus that one final lap. Just look at some lap times as well with these 4. They're absolutely together. They are lapping around about 0.2 of a second slower than Charlie Radford. Now, obviously, the fact that they are battling, the 4 of them, and they're scrapping over and squabbling over these 2nd, 3rd and 4th places means that they are slowing each other down slightly. So that may be a contributing factor. It would be interesting to see if they had got the jump with Radford. See, Radford did all his hard work at the start of this race. Radford was gone within half a lap of the start of this race. While everybody else fought over positions behind him, he was out front and gone and out the way and putting his head down and doing really consistent lap times to build this advantage. This is the advantage that he's now reaping the rewards from. I've got a warning for Bryn Calder as well, so it's just starting to get a little bit frantic for these front drivers. This battle that's led by Salarski at the moment. Foote is in second. There goes Radford, starting his final lap. Now this is the one to watch then. What order will these 4 come in one lap's time? And the battle behind isn't bad either between Sherry-Ann Powell and Daniela Sutton, who are right together. So here they go into Christmas. None of these are close enough right now. So none of them were close enough to make a move into the top of the circuit. Little mistake from Calder. Ran a little bit wide. That might just play into the hands of the DRS player Freddie Cox, but he can't really capitalise. And they've just got a kart length or so between each one of them as Calder tries to come back at Henry Foote. There's your battle between Sherry-Ann Powell and Daniela Sutton. So after the big build-up, I don't think any of them are going to change positions because they've just stretched away from each other a kart length or so in the closing stages. Ratford then wins the number 8. Salarski comes home. It's as you were. Salarski in second, Foot in third, Calder fourth, Cox fifth, Sherian Powell sixth, Daniel Sutton in 7th place. Fastest lap as well for Charlie Ratford, a 46.414, was a clear 2/10 quicker than everybody else out there, and the benefit of clear air for Charlie. The benefit of doing your hard work in qualifying as well, because he's earned the right to be on the front row and to break away from the likes of Salarski and Foot and Calder and Cox, who came home in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. So our DRS 100s, both groups are a heat down. The next time we will see them will be in their pre-finals. So the pre-final for Group A around about 2:20, and for Group B around about 3 this afternoon. And our attention now turns to the DRS 62s, who are on the dummy grid. Their first heat of the day just scheduled off around about 1:05. We'll be back with live coverage here on both Facebook and YouTube from round 2 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Whilton Mill. So welcome back to round 2 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Whilton Mill. Our first of the pre-finals is for the DRS 100s, the Group A. And they are on circuit at the moment, just going through their formation laps in the order in which they finished the first heat. So courtesy of his pretty perfect day so far for Tristan Powell, who was fastest of all the Group A drivers in qualifying earlier on. And he backed that up with a fairly comprehensive win in the first heat as well. So Tristan Powell starts on the inside of the front row. It's Ethan Critchley alongside him, courtesy of his 2nd place finish. Already very nicely formed as well. Will they go at the first time of asking? Certainly won't be far off, I wouldn't have thought. This is a fairly neat and tidy start, led by Tristan Powell. It's Powell and Critchley eyeballing each other at the moment. Powell's got the best of the starts. Critchley hasn't got the best of the starts, because it's allowed for James Kochelek to move into 2nd place as well. So the inside row certainly took advantage of the start there, with a false start. So the inside row getting the best of the starts hasn't quite materialised that way. So they'll go all the way around again and do another formation lap, just because they're a little bit separated. There'll be drivers that need to get back into the correct position. Wonder what the view of the starter was there. They were a little bit, it just looked to me as if Powell just got a better jump. He obviously dictates the pace from his position on the inside of the front row, so when he goes, they all go. I don't think, are they going to go around again, or is this going to go first time? They are fairly well formed. I'm sure they could go this time if they wanted to. They're going to. Right then, Powell and Critchley, they're really slow now. Yeah, they're going to go around again. Interesting. It's a really interesting stance from, if you look at Ethan Critchley as they come up to the line, he just looks across at Tristan Powell. So he's not really bothered about what's ahead of him. I'm guessing he's waiting for Powell to hit the accelerator and trying to follow suit. But I'd maybe look at the lights if it was me. A bit less bothered about what was alongside me and a bit more bothered about the lights, because you go when the lights change. So yeah, strange strategy. It certainly didn't work for him on the first start. Let's see if he can make a better fist of it on the second start. The benefactor was James Kochelek in 3rd place. He jumped right down the inside and made sure that he got into the first corner in 2nd place behind the pole man, which is Tristan Powell. Remember, this is Group A with another group of these DRS100 drivers to come in the next heat as well. And then they'll all come together for a B final, those who didn't quite make it into the main final. And then it'll be the grand final. They are our last final of the day today. So if you want to see the main action for the DRS100s, 20 to 5 this afternoon. Here we go then. Critchley looks across again towards Powell. They're going to go, it doesn't work, Ethan. I wouldn't do it that way. Because all that Tristan Powell's been doing is focusing on the lights. As soon as he sees the lights, as soon as they change, he puts his foot down. They were nice and steady up until then. So absolutely didn't work for Ethan Critchley. He tried it a couple of times, didn't change his tactic, and now finds himself, I think he's found himself work back up into second. But the race leader, Tristan Powell, is already a little way down the road at the moment. So we'll check on the gap. They've all managed to get through the first 3 or 4 corners. It's 8 minutes plus a lap, as with all of our pre-finals. So it's the 1:55 of Kai Newman in second place. So where is the 1:52 of Ethan Critchley? Where has he come back out into? I'm just having a look now as we go past. He's a bit further down, isn't he? A bit further down the field. As we see a replay of a little touch between a couple of them, and a little wave. It actually hindered the driver involved. I think it was Liam Karbeloff who made the contact, but it actually hindered him because he lost so much momentum. He ended up losing a place as well. We have a new race leader, and we've got a track limits warning as well. Track limits warning for Isaac Kite, who is down in 11th place, and Oscar Walmsley-Jones is up a couple of places into 9th. But our new race leader is the 1:55 of Kai Newman, as Powell tries to counter-attack as quickly as he possibly can. Down they go then, and over the start-finish line into the right-hander of turn 1. It flicks left then right, and then they come out and pop up the hill towards Christmas, and here he comes down the inside. Is he going to make it stick? He is. So Powell retakes the lead then as they head down towards the bottom end of the circuit, the right-hander at Ashby. And what this has allowed is these two fighting at the front has just allowed for the likes of Kochelek and Karbeloff and Critchley and Daniel Weir just to start to edge up towards, and they are getting past, aren't they? Oh, it's a big mistake. There was a contact there. We'll need to see a replay, but it's a big mistake from Newman. It's cost him a lot of time. He drops from 2nd to 5th in the space of just a corner. So he's got a problem, hasn't he? He's got a problem, I think. Let's have a little look. This is the replay. Oh, all kinds of out of shape. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bit of off-roading, bit of a mistake. I wonder if he's now picked up a problem because he's heading backwards at the moment. Let's just keep an eye on him in the next couple of laps. Sometimes when they jump over the curbs in such an aggressive fashion, it can lead to them throwing off a chain, for example. It can lead to problems in terms of bent components and damage to components. He's still circling, he's still out there, but he has lost a few places. They're all quite tightly grouped, to be fair, the whole group of them, and it's led by Tristan Powell. Now the aggressor, now the attacker is the 150 of James Kochelek, so he's up into 2nd place. Then the group behind is Karbeloff and the number 9 of Daniel Weir. Where is Critchley? He's in this little pack behind, isn't he? So Ethan Critchley is still there or thereabouts, but he's in a pack a little further back. Has lost a little bit of time. Just see how much they're really struggling with it. It's a really abrasive surface here. It is a grippy circuit. You can see when we saw Critchley earlier on effectively hopping over the curbs, that's because there's so much mechanical grip in the front tyres. They almost dig into the ground. That sends a signal of energy through the rest of the car, and it hops and pitches in as it tries to catch up to the front tyres. So that's why they're getting those problems. That's why we're seeing a lot of the cars bouncing and jumping up in the air slightly. It's because of the sheer mechanical grip that they're generating from the tyres. Temperature has gone back up again a little bit. It's Powell, Kochelek, Karbeloff, Weir, Critchley. So Kai Newman all the way back in 9th place. So it has cost him that mistake. Certainly got all kinds of out of shape as he went through the left-hander at Chapman's 3 or 4 laps ago. Now finds himself just inside the top 10. Ruby Smith is the next target for him. She's in 10th place at the moment. Aaron Mensah behind in 11th with Joe Jennings in 12th.
Come on, stop in there, good girl.
So the start finish once more. Powell, Kochelet, Karbolev, Weyer. Not much between them, in fact. Tristan Powell's just on the fastest lap of the race so far. 47.1 for him. Now, bearing in mind, he was on 46.6s this morning in qualifying. We have lost a little bit of pace, just probably due to tyre wear and the different conditions. We've also got a warning for Kai Newman. He's having an eventful race, isn't he? So Newman now drops back to 10th. Aaron Mensah's got past both Newman and Ruby Smith in the last lap or so. So race leader, gap between Powell and Kochelet, just around 0.6 of a second. He's not had much response, has he, James Kochelet, considering they started just to cruise onto the back of Powell a few laps ago. All of a sudden, that danger has been averted by the race leader. He's in a fairly comfortable position. 0.8 of a second is the gap now, and a new fastest lap of the race for Daniel Weyer. So he's now the fastest man on circuit. 47.149 for him last time round. Currently in 4th place with Liam Karbolev just ahead of him. Just a couple of tenths of a second between them two. So into Chapman's, the left-hander, comes the leader, and Powell. And there's your battle for 3rd and 4th between Karbolev and Weyer. Weyer, the fastest man on circuit at the moment. Archie Cole is 6th and Archie Potter is 7th. He's the top rookie at the moment. Archie Potter in 7th place. Oscar Walmsley-Jones is now up into, in fact, he's just got past Potter and into 7th. And there is your battle for 3rd and 4th as Weyer tries to find a way through. Will he try and slingshot past on the way down into the right-hander? A little bit of contact between the two of them, the side-by-side as they come up to the left-hander at Parker's. He's on the outside though, Weyer. He'll switch to the inside if he can. No, because there's good defensive work from Liam Karbolev. Now they head to the back straight and into the boot. Little glance over his shoulder from Liam Karbolev. Just checking the status of Daniel Weyer in 4th place. No change at the front, and faster again goes Powell. 47.029 is now the quickest lap we've seen so far. There was just a little tag between Weyer and Karbolev. Not an awful lot doing there, but there's a bit doing here as they go up towards Christmas. We've still got 30 seconds to go here, so they're going to get another lap at this, these two. Whether they get 2 laps at it will depend on whether the leader... Oh, a little mistake from Karbolev. He made a mistake coming out, and I don't think Weyer really had anywhere to go. He was right behind him. There's a little bit of contact between the two, probably unavoidable, it has to be said. Just keep an eye on Ethan Critchley as well, because Critchley's not a million miles off this battle, is he? The 152 in 5th place. So the leaders cross the line once more. Is this the last lap? No, just missed it. Oh, we've got contact for the 156. The spinner is the 155. Oh, Archie Cole. So Archie Cole, who was up in 6th place, is parked up. Oh, we've got a full course yellow. So we have gone full course yellow, which means the drivers will slow down. The leader will become the pace car. I'm not sure the rest of the drivers have seen this. I would imagine we'll be full course yellow until the end of the race anyway, because it's about to be the last lap. So we've gone full course yellow. Marshals haven't got it out, have they? Have they? Not seeing many. There's a flag on start finish, but I'm not seeing many other. Oh, there's 1 or 2. One at post 5, one at post 8. So the driver should see that and should acknowledge it, the leader. He has acknowledged it, the leader. He has a look over his shoulder, slows down, and the rest of them should be slowing down. Oh, come on, chaps. The DRS100 is not doing a great example of what should be done here, because they should all have backed right off at this point. Leader becomes the pace car, and they should all just concertina up behind him. But it certainly looked to me like a lot of the drivers were just continuing as they went flat out. I think they've now got the message and are now just starting to cruise up behind Tristan Powell. Tristan Powell will cross the line as a race winner. They're not going to go green on the last lap. So Powell will just cruise round with them all tucked in behind him and will take the checkered flag. The full course yellow will have been because of Archie Cole's kart being in an unsafe, what's deemed to be an unsafe place. And absolutely the right decision by the officials as well. So the rest of them all just crossed the line in line of stern, and that will be the end of that race. I won't be surprised if the officials might want to speak to the DRS100 Group A drivers about what that flag actually means and what they're actually meant to do when they see it, because there was racing on for at least a lap after that flag was put out. So they finished the race as they started the last couple of laps. So Tristan Powell the winner, James Kochelek in second place, then Karloff. That Battenberg flag, that black and yellow flag, will have been music to the ears of Liam Karloff, who was under some pressure from Daniel Weir. Ethan Critchley in fifth, Oscar Walmsley-Jones in sixth, and Archie Potter came home in seventh place. We've got just around about 5 minutes before we get started with the DRS 100 pre-final B. They're on the dummy grid, and they're next up. So we've made the short hop down from our commentary position just over start finish there, down to the dummy grid to see the DRS 100B group, who were just about to get their pre-final underway. We're going to jump straight onto the front row. Just going to try and speak to Charlie Ratford as he just prepares himself. He's just going to about to put his helmet on, so we'll let him put his helmet on before we grab a quick word with him. We'll let him do what he needs to do to get himself sorted. Charlie, a great example of if you can get yourself out the front and let everybody fall over each other, it's an easier job, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
And a fairly uneventful sort of race for you. It's been a perfect weekend so far. What's the plan from here? I suppose you want to try and continue that and try and pick up as many points as you can.
Yeah, hopefully we can get the same start as last race, pull away, let the top four battle with themselves, and then cruise to victory, hopefully.
Very good. All the best for the race. It's a tried and tested strategy to get yourself out front and get yourself in the leader race. Let everybody else fall over each other. We'll jump on the other side of the front row to Maximilian Salarski. You've got to try and stop that happening, haven't you? Have you guys got to behave yourselves and maybe not do as much battling to stop him getting away?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
And how wary are you? Obviously, two groups. How wary of you is what's happening in the other group? I know you're not going to see them till the grand final, but I'm assuming you're watching every race. You're looking at every timesheet. You know what's going on over there.
Yeah, the other group will bring us some more battling in the final, for sure.
And in terms of you, obviously a great win at Clay Pigeon, a great position to be in the championship. You're obviously back on the front row here today. In terms of your targets now, are you starting to look at that thinking, yeah, I've got a real chance of winning this championship?
Yeah, definitely.
All the best for the race. Maximilian Salarski there, we'll try and go one more, grab Bryn Calder because he's just in behind us. It's the same question really. I suppose you guys are involved in a battle and the race winner's disappearing in the distance. Have you guys got to change your strategy? Have you got to change your tactics to make sure he doesn't do that? Or have you got to try and pin him in the first couple of corners?
Yeah, definitely. I reckon we just have to go for him at turn one or something. But yeah, I think that's all we can do really.
And it drags you all back in, doesn't it? It drags you all into a race, and I suppose the longer the race then goes on, the more you feel like you've got a chance because you're in those. You can see the leader if you're not the leader yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you a bit of a confidence boost when they're right there. So. And
in terms of, well, we were just asking Maximilian Salarski about the other group. How aware are you of what's going on in that other group? Obviously, you're not going to see them until 20 to 5 this afternoon, but I'm assuming you know exactly what's happening in that group as well.
Yeah, well, they all look quick, so we only find out to the final he's the quickest there. So, you can only see when you're racing, really, isn't it? So.
Yeah. All the best for the race, Bryn. And that's all we've got time for down here on the grid for the DRS100B group for their pre-final. We'll see all of the DRS guys again, one for their B final this afternoon for those who don't quite make it into the main final, and then we'll have the grand final. It'll be our last race of the day, and I'm sure it'll be a cracker. finals, the B group. Remember, these guys are all scrapping to get into the main final as well. There's no guarantees that they'll be in the grand final. They need to be one of the top qualification places to get there. That will only hold so many drivers, and those that don't make the grand final, they'll have a B final. It used to be called a second chance final, but it's their only final for the day. It'll get them some championship points as well, but they will not qualify. If you don't qualify for the main final, you get the opportunity to continue in a race later on this afternoon, but it will be the B final race instead of the grand final. So a lot of these drivers, certainly from the mid-pack and towards the rear of the field, they'll be trying to get into that grand final and make sure they're in the showpiece race come the end of the day. Front row here could be interesting, couldn't it? Ratford and Salarski, 1 and 2. Henry Foote is behind, as is Brinkholder. They come to the line, they go first time. Ratford's got the best of the start. Here comes Henry Foote down the inside as well. Has he made it stick as they go through? There's been contact, hasn't there? They go out of our view for about 5, well, not even that, but about 2 seconds as they go into turn 1. And I can see that we've lost Henry Foote. He's certainly towards the back of the field. He's 7th or 8th place, Henry Foote. Ratford's got through fine. Brinkholder's got through in 2nd place. So there was obviously something went on. Here we go. Contact between Salarski and Foote. It was Foote who was very aggressive on the way into turn 1. And Ratford's the benefactor. So Ratford now leads. Brinkholder jumps up into 2nd place. Who's in 3rd? Is it Freddie Cox? It looks to be Freddie Cox. It is Freddie Cox. So Freddie Cox is 3rd. Then Salarski's recovered. Then Sherry-Ann Powell is up into 5th place. So I'd love to see that start again. I'd love to see that first corner again and just see exactly what had gone on with Henry Foote. When we lost him from view, he was just diving down the inside of... Oh, here we go. Some fantastic producing going on in the background here. So here we go. It's Henry Foote down the inside of Salarski. He has a little dive. Salarski tries to hold him off. There's a little... his contact, isn't there? So what's happened there is Henry Foote's front bumper has got tagged into the back of Salarski's rear bumper, and for a second they just both become passengers as the carts lock together. So that's what's happened. I don't know if there's an awful lot of blame there. It's just one of those sort of first corner, first lap incidents, to be honest. The officials may see it differently. I'm not sure there's that much in it. It has meant that they've both got some work to do, get back on terms. However, Brinkholder just gave a little wave there. Freddie Cox has gone past, but Brinkholder gave a little wave just as if to say, hang on a minute, let's just try and get on terms. Exactly the thing we talked about on the grid. Let's try and get on terms with Charlie Ratford rather than slowing each other down. It hasn't worked. Cox has gone to the inside. Calder is now... Well, he took a big slap of the rumble strip, didn't he? Track limits warning as well for the number 7 of Brinkholder. I hope it wasn't for that instant there. I was not much sure there was much he could do about it. So Ratford, now Freddie Cox is the one that is trying to get on terms with Charlie Ratford. So Ratford hasn't had his own way. There has been squabbling behind him, but he hasn't managed to get a suitable advantage, I don't think, to get himself on terms with, away from the rest of the pack. And now the gap between him and Freddie Cox will be absolutely critical for a couple of laps. Freddie Cox on the chase here in 2nd place. Maximilian Salarski is in 3rd. Powell, who's the championship leader in Group A. We're not seeing him now. We're seeing the 2nd place championship driver, and we're seeing the winner from Clay Pigeon. Maximilian Salarski currently in 3rd place. Not really making much inroads, it has to be said, on Freddie Cox at the moment. He takes a handful of curb through the boot. There he is, the DRS plate winner. Through the right-hander over start finish and gets his head down. The gap is up because Ratford's turning the screw. 47 flat for Charlie Ratford, who is not having this at all from Freddie Cox. He's been super smooth at the moment. Is Charlie Ratford. He's doing an excellent job at leading this race, certainly dealing with the pressure very, very well. There's under investigation to Henry Foote. I assume that's for the incident on lap 1 or turn 1 of lap 1. Ratford and Cox 1 and 2. The gap is 0.6 of a second. So Cox is going to need to find a little bit of pace that he hasn't quite shown yet to get on terms with Charlie Ratford. Charlie Ratford and Tristan Powell have been the 2 outstanding drivers, haven't they, of this DRS100 field in the A and B group so far. Clean sweeps for both of them in qualifying in the first heat. And Powell, he managed to add the pre-final to that as well. If it stays like this, they will be 1 and 2 on the front row of the grid. And they're actually doing very similar lap times. So Ratford's just done another 46.8. So Ratford is pulling away here at the front. So there's nothing at the moment that Freddie Cox can do to get on terms with Charlie Ratford. There's not an awful lot in it. A 10th here, a 10th there. There's a contact warning for the 153 of Jamie Scott. So Jamie Scott down in 11th place at the moment. Maximilian Reed behind him in 12th, and Freddie Farrell ahead of them in 10th place. So Ratford, Cox, Solarski, then Bryn Calder, who dropped a couple of places from that overtaking manoeuvre from Cox a couple of laps ago. Then Daniela Sutton has just been overtaken by Henry Foote, and then Sherry-Ann Powell's behind there. Daniela Sutton's driven really well. She's made good inroads in those first two heats, shown good pace as well. And she's in a battle at the moment, as she was in the first heat as well, with Sherry-Ann Powell, with Henry Foote just ahead of them. So when we were talking on the grid to Solarski and Bryn Calder about, guys, have you maybe got to just relax a little bit in terms of all the chaos and the overtaking, and they sort of both agreed with me, and then Henry Foote just went, well, I'll do it then, if you boys won't, I'll do it. And he went down the inside into turn one, and all of a sudden Ratford was rubbing his hands together as he scampered up the hill towards Christmas, which is where he is now. First and second. There's the battle for third and fourth between Solarski and Bryn Calder. Behind them is Henry Foote. Now Henry Foote is quite pacey at the moment. He's the only driver in the 46s other than the race leader Charlie Ratford. So Ratford, Cox, Solarski, Calder and Foote, they're the top five. Then Daniela Sutton would be well prepped to just try and get onto the back of Henry Foote and let Henry Foote drive her up towards the race leader. So the gap between Ratford and Freddie Cox, 1.3 seconds. He really has turned the screw, hasn't he, Charlie Ratford, at the front of this field. Really just driven away and mastered this Whilton Mill circuit. He's got a minute, just over a minute to go here. So as long as he can maintain similar lap times, similar pace, he won't be a million miles away when it comes to the checker flag, which is now under a minute from his grasp. Freddie Cox has done a good job. He did all his work fairly early on, Freddie Cox. Got himself up into second place. Let the two or three behind him squabble over third, fourth and fifth, which they're still doing now with Solarski, Calder and Foote. And Sherry-Ann Powell has got past Daniela Sutton and got herself a little gap as well. Now, what sort of times is Sherry-Ann Powell doing? She did a 47.4 last lap, but I assume that included the overtaking move on Daniela Sutton, which usually costs you a tenth or two. So Sherry-Ann Powell, 47 flat is her fastest lap of the race so far. That's maybe 3/10 slower than Ratford and Cox, who are now matching each other for 46.7s each lap. Oh, 46.5 from Ratford. That is impressive. In fact, that's faster than the qualifying time of Tristan Powell in Group A earlier this morning. So 46.5 for Ratford on lap 10 of the pre-final. That is very, very strong work indeed. The battle continues, and look at Henry Foote. We said he was getting racy, we said he had some pace as he dives to the inside and Calder tries to shut him down. I don't think he'll get the move stuck this time, he won't, but now Calder will certainly know that he's in the proximity and he's very, very dangerous indeed behind him. So Calder trying to hold on to that fourth place. Probably any chance of him getting on terms with Solarski have probably now gone as we head towards the final lap of the race. Ratford then out front, cool, calm and collected into turn one. Here is the battle for third, fourth and fifth. Sherry-Ann Powell is sixth and Sutton is seventh. Sam Halley-Hinksman up to eighth and Ben Hoy is ninth and Freddie Farrell is 10th. through the right-hander, the pair of right-handers that take you down to the bottom part of the circuit. All the camber now goes downhill from here, which is why Chapman's, this corner's so tricky. It drops away from you on the exit off camber. We've seen plenty of drivers running wide there this weekend already. Through the right-hander and over the start-finish line. Charlie Ratford then wins the pre-final. It's a clean sweep for him so far. Well, somebody's unbeaten record's going to go, isn't it? Is it going to be Tristan Powell? Is it going to be Charlie Ratford? It's going to be one of them in the grand final. They'll be a front row, you would imagine. Second place for Freddie Cox. Good drive from him. Max Salarski recovered from the incident with Henry Foote on the first lap. Henry Foote recovered as well, back to fifth. Bryn Calder was the meat in the sandwich of those two. Sharian Powell home in sixth, and Daniela Sutton home in seventh place. So the B final, the one and only B final that we have this weekend for the DRS 100 drivers, 10 minutes plus a lap for this B final. There's an award for the winner of this race as well at the presentation. The presentation is scheduled for 5:15 later on tonight. So this is the opportunity for a further race for the drivers who didn't quite make the grand final for the DRS 100s. 10 minutes plus a lap shootout for these 8 drivers. And following this, we've got the 3 main events, the 3 grand finals, the DRS 62 at 4 o'clock, the DRS 125 at 20 past 4, and the DRS 100 at 20 to 5, our last 3 races of the day, and all of them actually teed up to be very interesting battles indeed. And you can follow us live on our Facebook page, the Daniel Ricciardo Series Facebook page. There's a live stream of today's footage, as does our YouTube channel. You can use those mediums to get in touch with us here. And we're about to get underway with the B final for the DRS 100s, the most subscribed class that we have this year. And Aaron Mensah, one of the drivers at the front of this field, certainly wouldn't associate Aaron Mensah with being in a B final, but he's had a tough weekend so far. Jamie Scott as well, both had really tough weekends. Jamie Scott had excellent pace at Clay Pigeon, graduate of the DRS 62 class from last year, one of the top runners in DRS 62. So they head through the top corner for the first time. It's Mensah who has the advantage over Jamie Scott. Rowan Marsden, another driver who's had a tough weekend so far this weekend. Ben Thorley is 4th, and then Tuscany Groves and Eldon Holland. Eldon Holland was the driver that lost a wheel earlier on in one of the races earlier on. As the 8 of them stream through to complete their first lap. Remember, it's a 10 minutes plus a lap race. probably around 12 laps of this Whilton Mill circuit for these drivers, as the leaders head up towards the Christmas corner once more. They flick round to the right and then left again, and then all of a sudden the whole circuit just drops away from you and comes all downhill through this right-hander here at Ashby, then through Parker's. It drops again through the Chapman corner, the left-hander, and then from there it's a short straight and into the final complex of the lap, which is the boot and the pit corner, and then the brown to complete another lap once more. Here is the battle for third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh and eighth, and a close battle between Marsden and Holland. In fact, Eldon Holland's made an excellent start up to fourth place. Ben Thornley is fifth. Joe Wood, Tuscany Groves and Jake Woodrow are the rest of the top eight. And they've completed 2 laps. Aaron Mensah is the front runner and race leader. He's also the man with the fastest lap, a 48.324. Some half a second quicker than Jamie Scott. So 48.324 for Mensah, 48.770 for Scott last time. He's going even quicker this time as Mensah, 48.283. So 8 drivers in this B final, and all still circling at the moment. A lovely little battle between third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh and eighth at the moment, led by Rome Marsden. But previously these used to be repechage finals where the top 4 went through to the grand final. Won't quite work like that anymore. This is a race of its own merit, with an award of its own merit and for championship points as well. As they head over start-finish. He's doing a good job, isn't he, Rome Marsden, at just holding off this group of karts behind him. There's some 5-second gap between Mensah and Marsden first and third. Look at them, almost 3 abreast as they come up to Christmas once more. And this time, the 139 of Rome Marsden holds them off again. And the next one to have a go will be Eldon Holland, who's up into 4th place. As they go through Parker's, down the hill once more, left again through Chapman's. And then it's a short straight up to the boot. Very difficult to overtake in here. Not too much pressure on Rome Marsden through those couple of corners. But he will face a little bit as they go out of turns 1 and 2 and head up the long straight. The best overtaking opportunity on the circuit is just about to come up at the top of this hill now. He's done well at keeping him at bay, hasn't he? He's done a super job. No change out front. Aaron Mensah, 48.253 last time round. That's a 10th slower than his personal best of the race, which is the fastest lap of the race as well. Jamie Scott in 2nd place. So Mensah, Scott, Marsden, Holland, Thorley, Wood, Groves and Woodrow. That's your 8 runners at the moment, and this is the battle for 3rd. Still no change, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Leader is now some 3.6 second advantage for Aaron Mensah. And he's doing a super job at just pulling away nice and smooth. I mean, he's in terms of pace, Aaron Mensah is around about a second a lap faster than everybody out there other than Jamie Scott, where he's only about 8/10 of a second faster than Jamie Scott. But this would be one of the best rearguard actions that Whilton Miller's seen if Rowan Marsden can hold off Eldon Holland and Ben Thorley for the remaining 4 minutes of this lap. He's doing a super job at it at the moment, isn't he? Making that Daniel Ricciardo car very, very wide indeed. Making himself very tricky to find a way past, is that young man. Minutes plus that one final lap for this DRS 100 B final. Remember the main final for the DRS 100. Oh, we've got contact there. And the 163 of Ben Thorley over the grass. That's just going to spread that little battle out of the front few. Let's just pick them up as they go over start finish for any changes. Here it is then. Oh, what do we think of that? I don't know if he just moved over to take the racing line, did Rowan Marsden, and in doing so Ben Thorley was just there. I didn't think he'd actually know he was there, and then Eldon Holland was there, and then Ben Thorley just got caught up in the aftermath of it. What it has allowed is it's allowed a little bit of breathing room for Rowan Marsden, so all that rear guard action has worked out an absolute treat for him. Because now he's in a nice little pocket of space. In fact, the front three are all very nicely spread out for the remaining 2 minutes or so of this race. It'll be a good return for Rowan Marsden to pick up a top 3 finish in the B final. I'm sure none of these drivers wanted or expected to be in this B final, but that's where they are, and all they can do is make the best of it by getting as many championship points under their belt as they can. Aaron Mensah 47.7, fastest of everybody out there at the moment by some distance as well, it has to be said. So Mensah, Jamie Scott in second. Third, Rowan Marsden, Ben Thorley, Jake Rudlow is up ahead of Tuscany Groves and into 5th. And then Eldon Holland just recovering from that earlier incident into 7th. And Joe Wood is the last of the runners. In fact, Joe Wood has only done 8 of the 11 laps so far. There is Aaron Mensah. He's got 30 seconds plus a lap. In fact, he should cross the time in being before the time is up. Yeah, 21 seconds to go. So next time round will be Aaron Mensah's last lap of this B final. Been a fairly processional few minutes for the front three. Jamie Scott's driven well consistently, but it's been a fairly lonely trip towards second place in the B final for him. Third will be Rowan Marsden, I'm sure, although Rowan Marsden's now got Ben Thorley for company. So is Ben Thorley going to be able to do what the likes of Eldon Holland couldn't do? Keep an eye on these two. In fact, we nearly did it into paddock corner. That's the battle at the moment. This is the battle. It's going to be the last lap as well. So the battle then is for third. So Aaron Mensah, Jamie Scott are down the road at the moment. No question of those finishing places, I don't think. But the battle is, can Rowan Marsden, and I'm sure he can, because he's done it for most of the race anyway, can he just hold off the advances of Ben Thorley? Thorley is significantly quicker. He's reeled him in sort of 2 seconds over the last 5 or 6 laps. He goes defensive. Will he try and get him on the way through the left-hander at Charlie's? He might get a run down the inside here, you know. Here we go then. He is going to get a run down the inside. Will he make it stick? No, it's quite aggressive defence, it has to be said, from Rowan Marsden, but he's done it well, and he's going to come home into 3rd place in the B final. The winner of the B final is Aaron Mensah. 2nd, Jamie Scott. Rowan Marsden with an excellent rearguard action for 3rd, and a punch in the air as well. Ben Thorley into 4th. Tuscany Grove in 5th. Jake Woodrow is 6th. Eldon Holland 7th, and Joe Wood is 8th. So the last race of the day then promises to be an absolute cracker. We've got 2 unbeaten records. One of them, well, at least one of them, will have to go at the end of this race. So Charlie Ratford, fastest in qualifying Group B, won the first heat, won the pre-final, sat on the front row, alongside Tristan Powell, fastest in Group A qualifying, won the first heat, won the pre-final. Can he round off? One of them may round off a perfect weekend. Neither of them might round off a perfect weekend. This will be close, not just between these two, but look at the host of drivers behind who will all have a chance for this DRS100 final. If you're heading to the kitchen to get something, if you're in an awning and packing away, put down everything, get in front of your TV screen or get to trackside and watch this DRS100 final. I promise you, it will be a cracker. So many drivers with a chance here. So many drivers with enough pace, enough guile, enough experience to get the job done. This is set up to be a cracker. Our last race of the day then, the DRS100 Grand Final, 12 minutes plus a lap. And they are currently warming things up. They are currently on their formation lap, getting ready to do battle over 12 minutes. Powell, Ratford, Kochelek, Salarski, Daniel Weir, Bryn Calder, Freddie Cox, Henry Foote, Kai Newman, Liam Karloff, Sherry-Ann Powell, Ethan Critchley, Daniela Sutton. I could argue for any of those drivers, any of those 11 drivers to win races this year. Any of those 11 could win this race. There is a long, long way to go here. And they are very finely matched. The start could be critical. Two drivers with unbeaten records this weekend. Powell and Ratford, they've won their respective group. They've been the class of their field, but all of a sudden, they are all together. Two unbeaten at the front, lots of subplots, lots of drivers who haven't even seen each other on the track so far today. And all of a sudden, the DRS100s are thrown together in a battle over 12 minutes to see who wins round 2 of the DRS series here at Whilton Mill. Powell and Ratford on the front row. They're quite well spaced out. I'm not sure they'll go this time. They won't go this time. The other thing that they need to be aware of is there's been a couple of false starts today. There's been a couple of jump starts today. So you can't really hedge your bets here, because everything, as people will know, is electronically timed. Everything is scrutinised. They know everything that happens in these 4 walls. They go around again, the 3rd formation lap, just adding to the tension, isn't it? Adding to the potential drama of the first couple of corners here. Who gets in the first corner first? Ratford or Powell? I would say if we got Powell in the first corner first, that probably sets up for a better race. I think Ratford's become a bit of an expert at getting himself out front and disappearing. I think he's got more pace as well, or certainly from what we've seen so far, I think he's got more pace. Let's see. Powell on the inside. Ratford will try and stick it around the outside, no doubt. They are together. We're waiting for the lights. The lights are on. Oh, that's not the best start. Oh, what do we think of that? So they're all round. Powell's got the jump by an absolute mile, by the way. And whether that's because Ratford wasn't looking or was just slow to react, but Powell certainly got the jump in terms of the roars. Oh, we've got contact. We've got a lot of contact at the back of the field. We're going to have a red flag for an incident at the top end of the circuit, as the drivers will all slow down. Hopefully everybody is okay. There'll obviously be staff over there quickly to make sure, and I can see the driver in question is up on his feet as well. Certainly was up on his feet. There's some medical assistance to the top of the circuit as well, very quickly indeed, and the drivers will all come round and will stop on the start-finish line. It's happened on the first lap, so I would imagine will be a full restart of this DRS 100 final. So the drivers will park up, they'll stop on start-finish, which is where you can see the red flag obviously means an immediate race stop, and the drivers will slow down and they will come to a halt at the right part of the circuit. It looked like there was a spin. We obviously don't want to see a replay, but it looks like there was a spin from Freddie Cox. Don't know if there was some contact that led into that, and then one of the drivers just caught the side of Cox as he was coming back onto the circuit or back into the traffic, and that's what caused the incident. The problem for Freddie Cox is he's got some damage. He's got a lot of rear bumper damage, so I'm not sure what the situation will be with that. He's pushing his car back to where it should be on the grid, because it will be a full restart. So the drivers will all congregate and have a bit of a committee meeting and have a bit of a chat about what's happened and what hasn't happened. So Freddie Cox's car is being pushed back on. It's been pushed to park firme, I think. I'm not sure that Freddie Cox's car is straight. By just watching it be pushed away, it looks like there might be either an engine or a chassis twist or bend. It certainly doesn't look like it's circling in the way that it should do, and he's got significant rear bumper damage as well, so I'm not sure if it's with a full restart that they could do something with that. So the drivers will re-prepare themselves. Obviously we'll wait for the track to be cleared. Will be certainly a small period of time whilst we get everything in the way it should be. The drivers will have to put themselves back into the original order that they were at the start of the race. If you just joined us, this is the DRS100 Grand Final. Just a stoppage because of an incident on the first lap involving a couple of drivers on the way out of the Christmas corner. So they'll have to do it all again. So Powell and Ratford just stood by their respective carts at the front of the grid. You can see Solarski is down there as well, just waiting some direction. I think they're just pushing carts backwards so they can get other carts into the right places. A couple of drivers have come over to speak to mechanics and parents and helpers just to get an understanding of what's happened or some last minute advice. So just awaiting, obviously we allow the medical team to do what they need to do and take their time, of course.
goes round and drags on the ground,
It's going to go
he's
on this
going
circuit.
to end up coming off like an orange track. And that's a different problem. Because it's a new race. If it wasn't a new race, then I would say no, sorry, continuation.
So this is counting back to
Daniel, what's up with it? Daniel.
To be honest, like,
In the ambulance.
parts,
So the final race of the day, we will try and get underway once more. If you just joined us, the DRS100 final was halted due to an accident on the first lap. The accident involved the 161 of Ben Hoy. Daniel Weir was involved as well. Freddie Cox was involved as well, but Freddie Cox has rejoined with a new back bumper at the back of the field. But certainly there was medical attention for Ben Hoy. I think there may have been some for Daniel Weir as well, and we hope that the pair of them are absolutely fighting fit. So we'll have a full restart. They're lined up on the start-finish line, but there will be a full restart, the full 12 minutes. I think the full 12 minutes. Sam will be on. That's right. Yes. 12 minutes plus a lap. So we built it up, and then it got stopped after about 10 seconds of the first attempt. So let's see if we can get through this race. Slightly different grid now, because obviously Freddie Cox was in amongst the first 4 or 5 row. Now he's gone to the back, so the grid will look different. But no change at the front. It'll be a fight to the first corner between Tristan Powell and Charlie Ratford. They are your front row. So the second formation, they're still really well spread out. They're going to have to slow right down on this back straight to allow them to get formed up correctly. Matt, the clerk of the course, is over there just to give them a nod and a nudge. And then Andy Cox will bring them under the attention of the starter. And now they are all pretty much there. They'll concertina up, they'll try and jockey for position. The lights are red on the gantry at the moment, but when they come round this corner, all eyes will be on those lights, which are red and are now green, and we are racing here for the final for the DRS100s. It looks as though Tristan Powell has got the best of the starts as they head up the hill. He has. Ratford is down in second place. Salarski is third. As I look down the inside of Ratford, did he make it stick? I don't think he did. They are the top 3. The rest of them have all got through the first 2 corners, so we're already in a better position than we were a lap or so ago. Salarski goes down the inside of Ratford and takes second place away. So Maximilian Salarski, who won at Clay Pigeon, is now trying to put himself in the box seat to do a double in the first 2 grand finals of the year. He's got Ratford now right behind him to come down the short straight towards the boot. This final complex series of corners that brings them over start finish to start another lap. Really wide, really wide from Tristan Powell. Just needs to be careful about track limits there. He's pushing so hard. And here comes Salarski down the inside at the top of the circuit. Tries to hold him off. Does Powell? He's not going to manage it. And Salarski is the new leader. So then, not really had the pace, has he, Maximilian Salarski, until now. And all of a sudden, he's put a blinding first couple of laps in, and he finds himself at the front of the field. Tristan Powell is in second place. Charlie Ratford is third. Behind them, now into fourth, and here is the move for the lead. Thought about trying to defend it, didn't he, Tristan Powell? And then thought better off it, and now he's got a track limits one as well. That was over start finish at the end of the first lap. Just watch that he doesn't do that too often, or he'll get himself a penalty. James Kochalek is fourth, Henry Foote is fifth, Kai Newman, and Kochalek receives a track limits warning as well. And Salarski a track limits warning. They are pushing so hard out there, and here comes Henry Foote down the inside of Kochalek, and Henry Foote goes down and takes fourth place away, so don't rule him out just yet. Don't rule the 2 behind them out either. The Kai Newman, Brincolder, Sharian Powell as well, I think is up a couple of places. Ahead of them, Brincolder is in 7th, Karbeloff is 8th, Daniela Sutton is up into 9th. Oh, and there's contact further back as well, isn't there? There's contact, and it includes the 154 of Tristan Powell. Powell is bundled out of second place as they came through the right-hander and headed towards the boot. There was contact. And Henry Foote is up to second now. Was the contact between Henry Foote and Tristan Powell. Tristan Powell's recovered into 10th, but all of a sudden, Henry Foote is the man on the move into second place. He's also done the fastest lap of the race so far. Salarski, Foote, Kocelek, Ratford. Just having a look at to see if there's any information about that incident. Oh, there it is. It's between the 8 of Ratford. So it was Ratford and Powell who fell over each other. Henry Foote was just the benefactor. He just jumped up a couple of places and is now breathing down the neck of Maximilian Salarski. Foote now looking to make a move for the lead as they cross the line to complete another lap. A contact warning for the 152 of Ethan Critchley, who's all the way down at the back of the field. So he's been involved in a mid-table skirmish as well, and he's not come off any better for that move. They're all squabbling a little bit further back as well, but expect these to all start to come together and tighten up these distances if they start to battle at the front. Salarski, Foote, Kocelek, 1, 2 and 3. Little gap then back to Charlie Ratford, who's just recovering following that incident with Tristan Powell. Salarski just making himself a little bit wider than he normally would want to, and down the inside goes Kocelek. Doesn't make it stick, but a little bit wide was Henry Foote, and Kocelek had half a look down the inside, didn't he, of the second place driver. Might just fall back into the hands of Charlie Ratford as well. Kai Newman is 4th, Bryn Calder is 6th, Newman 5th, Bryn Calder 6th, Karbeloff 7th, Daniela Sutton is 8th. Track limit warning for Karbeloff as well. So 2 groups of 2 at the moment. Here comes Foote down the inside, and Henry Foote has gone down the inside. He's going to lose it on the way out to the corner, I think. And I think he might. There's contact between 3 of them. There's contact between Foote and Kocelek spins, and he's out of the race, or he'll certainly be in the back of the field. It was Foote who went down the inside of Salarski into the corner. It slowed everybody up. Salarski tried to pinch his way back through. Here it is. Down the inside he goes. Salarski will then try and slingshot past on the inside. Oh, he got too much grip, did Henry Foote. Far too much grip, far too hot into the corner. He actually nearly rolled over, was the amount of mechanical grip that he had. And then comes the contact with Kocelek. I don't think Henry Foote can put his hand up and complain there. I think he was the one that drove into the side of Kocelek on that occasion. Kocelek was already just past him as they went into the corner, even though he was on the outside. Ooh, that might take someone picking. Right then, now it all changes again. So Salarski retakes the lead. Ratford is up into 2nd. Henry Foote probably a little bit wounded, but up into 3rd. And Henry Foote is now under investigation. Just as I suggested, Henry Foote will probably receive some sort of, well, he may receive some sort of penalty for those moves on the previous lap, certainly for dispatching of Kocelek further down this field. Ratford, new fastest lap of the race. We told you it would be a good final, didn't we? We told you it would be decent, and it's living up to the billing so far. Salarski, Ratford, Foote, Calder, Newman, Sutton up to 6th at the moment. Daniela Sutton flying along. She's got, who's behind Daniela Sutton at the moment? It looks to be Sherry-Ann Powell behind her in 7th place. Tristan Powell is starting to recover into 8th. What about Freddie Cox up into 9th place from the back of the field? Freddie Cox is flying through at the moment. He's got a lot of work to do, but he's certainly making huge inroads. His next target is Tristan Powell, who himself is a bit of a wounded animal, back in 8th place. Salarski then, still leading this race, holding Ratford at bay just about. Kai Newman is now the fastest man on the circuit in 5th place. And Bryn Calder in 4th is just edging towards this front group of 3. This is still on for an awful lot of these drivers. If I was still looking back even towards Freddie Cox, I'd be thinking if these lot fall over each other, which they could well do, as Henry Foote goes down the inside of Ratford and gives him a little wave, and here comes Calder down the inside of Ratford again. Can he make that stick? Yes, he can, and Bryn Calder is up into 3rd place. What a super result a podium would be. He was the benefactor, wasn't he? Here comes the move from Foote on Ratford. Very late on the brakes, but he made it stick, and to be fair to Charlie Ratford, he gave him the room and the space that he needed. And then there is the move up from Bryn Calder on Charlie Ratford, and to be fair again, Charlie Ratford gave him enough room to get the move done. So Henry Foote he's probably the paciest and the raciest of the front couple. He's now chasing down Maximilian Salarski, who has had a couple of laps of respite, hasn't he? That while they were falling over behind themselves, he could just cruise along a little bit. All of a sudden he's got Foot behind him, and he's got to be very, very careful here. Salarski and Foot. Lots of encouragement for these young drivers, both around this Whilton Mill circuit and online on social media. Sherry-Ann Powell is up into 5th. Oh, she couldn't have a real late run again, could she? She's been a master at coming right into contention at the end of races. She's got a lot of work, and here's a battle for the lead then. Foot. Henry Foot just probably needs to calm down a little bit. He's involved in a little bit of everything. He needs a couple of clean moves, doesn't he? He's already on the radar of all the officials. He's a little bit over exuberant sometimes. He needs to stick a move which is fairly safe. The next one. He's probably on one of his last warnings, if not already in a little bit of trouble. Salarski, Foot, Calder. What's bring Calder here? He could win this race, no doubt about it. Got the bit between his teeth as well. There's a gap back then to Sherry-Ann Powell. The gap's 2.5 seconds. What sort of lap times is Powell doing? She's doing 3's half a second. Sherry-Ann Powell's taking half a second out the front two. They come across a back marker as well. And there's a yellow flag about to arrive at post 6. It is all happening here. There's a really unfortunately parked cart on the exit of the left-hander at Chapman's, the right-hander at Chapman's, sorry. Oh, we're full course yellow. Oh, now then. Sherry-Ann Powell's eyes are just lit up because the gap between Sherry-Ann Powell, 5th and 4th place battle for the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Oh, we're red. We've gone red. Now then. So, first of all, Sherry-Ann Powell would have been the major benefactor there. She would have cruised on the back of Charlie Ratford with a bit of pace as well, and would have been right in the box seat. As things have now gone red, and we've got 2 minutes and 11 seconds to go, I will try and get some information here. The old school way would be that at 75% we would call it a result. That may not be the way now. That is just me talking about the old school way. So we will wait and see. It's so we can get some medical attention to one of the drivers that was parked on the exit of Chapman's, which was that left-hander I was talking about just earlier on. Oh, we'd love to see a 2-minute shootout for this, wouldn't we? I don't know if we will, but we would love to see a 2-minute shootout. My suggestion is that we won't. My suggestion is that may be called a result at that point, which will go right into the hands of Maximilian Salarski, of course, because he was leading the race. But to be fair to him, he's done some work to get out front, and while everybody else fell over each other and scrapped and squabbled, he kept himself cool, calm and composed. And if that is a result, it'll be a double of the first 2 grand finals for Maximilian Salarski. Henry Foot did pretty much absolutely everything he could to prevent that happening. Bryn Calder was looking ever so dangerous in 3rd place as well, with lots of pace behind him. Charlie Ratford was had an eventful last race. Sherry-Ann Powell will be gutted because she was coming on very strong at the end of this race. Behind her was the 155 of Kai Newman. Freddie Cox as well. What a drive from Freddie Cox. We talked about a couple of drives of the day, coming from last in a competitive race like this with so many top performers and getting through to 7th with, he probably had 5 laps left. And that if the full course yellow had stayed out, Freddie Cox would have been right there as well, maybe for a podium. So many subplots. My guess, my educated guess, is that we will not continue this race. I think they will roll it back a lap to the last completed lap, and that will be deemed as a result. That is what I think. But I'd love it if we did 2 minutes and 11 seconds of this. I'd absolutely love it, because it'd be a cracker. But the rules are the rules, so we will see. Well, there's a discussion at the moment between Matt the clerk of the course and Andy Cox down there at start finish. What happens now? We're all looking for that piece of information. result. Oh, we're waiting. So Maximilian Salaski's putting his gloves back on. Maximilian Salaski knows everything. We don't know anything. They're going in. No, they're going in. So Maximilian Salaski, or according to Maximilian Salaski, they are going in. I think he's been told by the officials that they are going to circulate and they are going to go around and they are going to go into Parc Fermé, and that result will be confirmed. A super result as well for Maximilian Salaski. He did all his work early on. He put himself, and that's what happens sometimes in motor racing. You put yourself at the front, you give yourself the best chance. When incidents happen, you're there or thereabouts. What a super result for Henry Foote, second place. A fantastic result for Bryn Calder. Very well deserved podium as well. Charlie Ratford will be disappointed, I'm sure. I'm sure Sherry-Ann will be disappointed as well that she didn't get a go at some of the boys in front in the closing stages. Looking really pacey towards the end there, as she often does in these grand finals, it has to be said. Saves her best till last. Wow, what a race. What a race. We'll give you a classified rundown now, obviously subject to the fact that I think it'll go back a lap. I think the result will go back a lap anyway, so what I'm going to tell you might not be true at all. But I'm pretty sure that Maximilian Salaski will be classified as the winner, the provisional winner, and that's what we're seeing on our screen at the moment. Henry Foote, I think, will come through in second, although if it goes back a lap, Charlie Ratford might be promoted, because I think the move between Calder and Foote and Ratford was a lap ago, so that'll be an interesting one to have a look at. Okay, so we think that might be the provisional result. Henry Foote in second, Bryn Calder in third, Charlie Ratford in fourth, Sherry-Ann Powell in fifth, Kai Newman in sixth, Daniela Sutton, super drive, super weekend for her, in seventh place, Freddie Cox, great result from the back of the grid. Sam Halley-Hinksman was in ninth and Liam Karbeloff was in 10th. They've all just changed, but I know that isn't right. So, interesting stuff. What a race. What a race. And what a shame that we didn't see the last 2 minutes and 11 seconds, which I'm sure would have lived up to the billing as well. But that's what we've been used to, isn't it? We've been used to high drama, top quality action, and the DRS100s, along with the DRS125s and the DRS62s, have all played their part this weekend in a stunning second round to the Daniel Ricciardo Series. So from here at Whilton Mill, we will head to Wales. Is that right? We will head to GYG in Wales, which is another fast-flowing circuit. And the event that is the Daniel Ricciardo Series will head to Wales in a few weeks' time. We'll head there with some new championship points, with some new championship leaders, no doubt, in some of the classes as well. And we will, of course, be live on YouTube, and our Facebook page will be live for those who want to come and take in some of the action at Glanigors in Wales. The date for that is the 25th and 26th, the main event being the 26th, Sunday the 26th of June. So we've got the best part of a month or so before we return to action with the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We'll be back for the trophy presentation in around 20 minutes time. But from me and everybody here as part of the Daniel Ricciardo Series team, thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon. Welcome to the trophy presentation for round 2 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Whilton Mill. We will start after an excellent day's racing with the B final for the DRS100s. The B final winner today was number 146, Aaron Mensah. On to our DRS125s, and our Grand Master for round 2 is the DRS plate of Firas Bilbezi. And today's DRS 125 top 3 in 3rd place. And what an eventful day he's had as well. But a super drive to come back on the recovery onto the podium for the 317 of Anthony Amato. Second place, the number 314 of Cody Eustace. And today's winner, after one of the most eventful DRS 125 finals I think I can remember having here at the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Today's winner, number 4, Tom Snape. Ladies and gentlemen, the DRS 125 top 3.
Roberto Minoni,
And finally for the DRS 125s, our rookie of the day goes to number 324, Roberto Minoni. On to the DRS 100s then, our junior class, and today's top rookie in 14th place was number 114, Archie Potter. And another outstanding DRS 100 final, which had just about everything, and what a shame it was cut short and we were starved of the 2 minutes and 11 seconds shootout at the end there. But nonetheless, a super race for everybody to watch. In 3rd place, number 8, Charlie Ratford. In 2nd place, another super drive from number 7, Bryn Calder. And it's a 2nd grand final win on the bounce for number 3, Maximilian Solarski. Put your hands together for the DRS 100 top 3. Our DRS 62 Academy top 3 in 3rd place, number 64, Cruz Dalton. In 2nd place, 8th overall for the DRA plate, Bailey Wolf. Not here.
Sorry?
Not here. And today's winner, 6th place overall for the 105, the Academy champion for round 2, is Ashton Redpath. Well done, boys. And finally, our DRS 62 Super Grand Final top 3. In 3rd place, number 5, Nat Johnston. In 2nd place, number 3, Oscar Walsh. And today's winner just did enough at the key times and the key moments of the grand final, the DRS plate of Jack Robinson. our DRS62. Top 3, everybody. And that's it from us here at round 2 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We'll be back in a month's time when we travel to Wales, to Glanigors for round 3. We'll see you there.